Good evening, everyone. This is Nicole Johnson-Starr with the PTSD Retreat Radio Talk Show. Tonight, we have a very urgent case coming up that you definitely need to hear. Why? Because it's another soldier that's being charged with something that maybe he should not be charged with. Tonight, we have Jeff, his father, who will be actually on here talking about this case. And if you guys haven't heard about it, it's about a local soldier in, not a local soldier, in a soldier out of Michigan. He's Plainwell, Michigan, who's been charged with attempted murder. Now, instead of giving you the news, because it's been on the news and you can watch for yourself, I'm actually going to have his father come on and talk to you. Jeff, are you there?
I am.
Jeff, instead of us getting the story from the news, where we all know things can be twisted and turned, why don't you tell me, without interruption, what has happened and what you guys are looking for?
My son's an Army vet, came back from Afghanistan. That in itself, but the fact of the matter is he was minding his own business, hanging out with some friends, when some guy came by who had alcohol in his system, jumped my son with no provocation. And my son defended himself to get the guy off him, and he had a pocket knife in his pocket, and he pulled it out in defense, and ended up stabbing the guy. He didn't run, he didn't hide. Stuck around waiting for the cops to come by. Self-defense is self-defense wherever you get attacked.
Okay. Now, my understanding that there was a girlfriend there, is that true?
There was a girlfriend she wasn't there at the time of the attack.
Okay. So she didn't see anything or anything. So there's no witnesses?
Oh yeah, there's 3 witnesses there that were standing there. All the witnesses have been tested, none of them had alcohol in their system, they were all clean. They all stood there and said self-defense.
But he's still being charged with attempted murder.
Yes.
And if I recall, it's more than just attempted murder that they're trying to charge him with. I think it's what is it? Assault with intent to murder, assault to do great bodily harm less than murder, and assault with a dangerous weapon. Isn't that a lot for a single incident? In your mind?
Is that what?
That seems a whole lot for self-defense.
Yeah, they started off with a couple of offenses, and then they offered him a plea, and he wouldn't take the plea, so I assumed that they added the last charge, which carries a 25 to life sentence, because they just want to scare this kid. They want to scare my son. They want him to just admit to something. When all reality, they just got this story all backwards. There was a guy that was drinking that was down the street and jumped him out of nowhere, and he did what he was supposed to do, and that's defend himself, which is what we taught him to do anyways in the military. Mm-hmm. But then, just because of that, the fact is, he still was just an American citizen defending himself.
Now, was your son drinking?
No.
No? Okay, so your son wasn't drinking either. Now, let's talk about your son, because your son is not just any person. Your son is also a decorated Army veteran from Afghanistan, correct?
Absolutely.
Tell us about your son. Tell us about his history in the Army.
He served his term in the Army. He was honorably discharged after his time was up. He served in Afghanistan for a year. He saw things that nobody could ever imagine. We can say what we think, but you don't know. You just don't know what these kids have seen. But yet, he did what he was supposed to do, because our government said he was supposed to do it, and he's a good soldier, and he did what he was supposed to do. But now he comes home in his own country and gets blindsided by somebody and does what he naturally, instinctively thinks to do, and that's defend his life. Mm-hmm. And now he's on trial for his life.
So when did he go to Afghanistan?
I'm giving you my memory. The dates may be a little bit off. He got back in Afghanistan about a year ago.
Okay. Does your son have PTSD?
He is diagnosed. He is disabled. He's PTSD and TBI, traumatic brain injury. But that's not. Everybody wants to paint that story.
Oh no. Let me ask you why. Let me tell you why I asked that. One, I am a soldier myself. I am still serving in the Army. Two, I also have PTSD. And reason I ask that is because when he's doing that, he's not reacting from the same standpoint that a civilian would react. He reacts from the fact that he might actually seen that attack as something that might have reminded him of his experiences. That's why I'm asking.
You're right. You're right.
Now, is your
but nonetheless, even if he was never in the military, you would expect as a U.S. citizen to be able to defend yourself against an attack. But the thing is the guy didn't expect him to be who he was.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about your son? Now, am I allowed to say your son's name? I don't know if that's been in the news yet or not.
No, that's fine. His name's Anthony McFarlane.
Okay. Has Anthony, tell us about Anthony as a kid and about, when he joined the military, about his service in the military.
Anthony was a good kid. He went to school. He never got in fights. He was. I'm not saying he was a perfect child, but he was an average child growing up in life. When he got old enough, he took the opportunity to rent my house, one of my houses from me, and live his own life at a young age, still in school. So before he went into the military. But as most young men in this society know, that jobs are just not out there everywhere. So he took the opportunity to join the Army, to be part of something bigger than what he was, and obviously to make a living. We're all shocked by the money we make, but that's what a lot of kids in the military do. They go into the military for a job, Mm-hmm. But when he got into the military, he found out it wasn't all what it was cracked up to be. It's hard work. And they really do want you to stand on a wall with a gun. And they really do want you to protect everybody that's behind you. And sometimes give down your life to do it.
Yeah, I love how you put that. Because it's not about going out and killing people. It's about protecting yourself and your buddies and doing your job.
It's a life. It's a life within a life that you just can't understand unless you've been there.
Yeah.
I'm an ex-Marine.
And you said it again. Folks.
Even though I'm an ex-Marine, doesn't mean that I understand what he went through. Because unless you were in a battle or unless you were in somebody shooting at you, you don't know. And then you bring them back to the society, and you don't give them a big house and a big car and a big pension, and say thanks for the whole career that you gave us. Because that 3-4 years of time, and that time you spent in Afghanistan, to most of us, it's a lifetime because it impacts us for life. It's a memory that will never leave you, guaranteed. Yeah. It's just like you put 20 years in a job, but you did it in 3 years, and you have an impact that you can't get over.
Now, I'm listening to you here, and I'm not just hearing somebody who's just an ex-Marine. I told you you're not allowed to say ex because you're a Marine. But how many years did you serve? Because what I'm hearing is not someone who just, I sat at a desk. How many years have you served in the Marines?
I served one tour in the Marines, and it was not during wartime. I never saw combat. Yeah. But I still know what the military is about. And I've got two boys. In the military. Well, I put 2 boys in the military. One in the Army, still in Fort Bragg, and that's my son Jeff Jr. And then I've got Anthony, and then he went and served in the Army.
Now, so, I'm hearing more though. Have you guys got a history of military in your family?
No. I'm the first one with my last name to ever join any kind of military. Okay. And that's fine. But I've got 2 children that came up behind me and heard all the stories of the military, of just the one term that I served. But it was enough to give them something to believe in and something for them to say, I'll stand up for my country.
Wow.
And that's what they did.
Well, I'm going to tell you thank you very much. Thank you for serving. And thank you for having kids that have served. Now, how old is Anthony now?
Anthony will be 23 this month.
Growing up fast. How does it feel to know that your son's 23 years old, has gone to war, and has come home safely, only to deal with this?
Kind of breaks your heart.
Say that again, sir.
Tough breaks your heart.
Tough and breaks your heart. How did it feel when he came home?
Well, you know, a hero's a hero. You don't have to come home in a body bag to be a hero.
Darn Skippy. That's right. When you first saw your son when he came home, how did you feel, though?
I'm glad to be alive.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. So, you've got a hero, 2 heroes for sons. You've served yourself. Your son came home and you felt, first off, relief, it sounds like. Your son is home. But I hear pride as well.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, so how does his mom feel about all of this?
Well, she deals with it, you know, the best that she can, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's tough, you know. It's tough. When I married her, and I told her, this is my stepson, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
but he's my son, no matter way you look at it. And when I married his mom, I told him I'd take care of her and her son. That was at a young age. And, you know, what do I do as a father? Step by and let this happen to him? He's still, it takes a different man to raise another man's child, especially in this today's society. But it takes another man not just to raise another man's child, but to love that child.
Mm-hmm. And you definitely love him. Now, what are you guys doing on his behalf right now?
This thing's all over Facebook. Where I'm talking to everybody and anybody who's going to listen and say, you know what? Sometimes what's wrong is just wrong, and this is wrong. And let everybody stand up and voice their opinion. I've got people calling the courthouse over there. I'm trying to put together a protest on that courthouse when it's time for that trial, if it ever comes to that. If they want to take it that far. But the fact, you know, I'm hoping they realize that the fact is just what the fact is. You can paint a picture all you want of Tiffany and everybody else, but can everybody talk about that split second at a time when he was jumped? It wasn't like he sat there and had words before it happened. The guy just jumped him. He had alcohol in his system. It's proven. It's toxicology reports. I've got copies of all that. My son, everybody with witnesses there, none of them had anything. Why can't just, well, I don't understand why the other guy wasn't charged for assault on my son. Nothing was brought up on that, but yet he's the aggressor. He's the one that's going to be charged. It just doesn't make sense. And they picked the wrong person this time to mess with. Plain and simple. And everybody in society can wake up and say, hello, we agree with you. And if you don't, that's okay. Don't say nothing. You're not going to hurt me because you don't believe me anyways. And you're not going to say anything. But if you do agree with what I'm saying, that everybody has a right to defend themselves, I don't care if it's in your room when you're sleeping at night and somebody breaks in your house, it happens in a garage, or somebody just blindsides you on the street. We still have the right to defend ourselves.
And that will never ever change, I hope. So, that we always have that right to defend ourselves. You know,
No matter how you paint this picture, and no matter how many people look at this, get what they want. If you look at that split second in time where a guy gets jumped, especially an ex-Marine or an ex-Army that's been in Afghanistan, who's out there to survive for his life, literally, I could tell you stories, and he defends himself. He did not stab the guy in the neck. He did not stab him in the heart. He was not going for the kill. He was going for the defensive wound to get me off me. That was it. And there's nothing contrary to, there's no aha moment that's coming. Nobody can prove anything different. The fact is what the fact is.
And that's what you guys hope are going to be seen, is going to be seen in the court system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know why it took this far. I don't know why it went this far. Nobody does. Nobody understands it. It's not like the victim or so-called victim has 50 people out there that saw anything different. There was 5 people there. The man who had been drinking and 4 other people that had not. If these kids were all 25, 30 years old and they were standing around in suits drinking martinis, we wouldn't be talking. But these were 4 kids standing around who was doing nothing, no alcohol, no drugs, and just hanging out, gonna have pizza that night or something, tacos, and this guy comes by and gets into an altercation. His fault.
Well, I'll put it this way. It definitely needs to get out, because right now this is probably reason it's gone so far is because right now it's a bad time for PTSD in the media. And weapons are a big issue. They're trying to push that weapons be removed from individuals with PTSD. So I'm hearing it, based on what you're sharing with me, I'm hearing this guy was attacked by somebody drunk, and he's defended himself.
Yep.
Well, I want to go ahead and keep up with you on this, and I hope by next week we get to hear some more things that's come forward in his defense, and that this ends up going in his favor. And if he's dealing with PTSD, which you say he is, I hope he gets assistance. Is he getting assistance and treatment?
He is.
Okay. Good.
But you know what? I really honestly say this. I know it plays a role, but I don't want so much focus at the PTSD, because the fact of the matter is self-defense is self-defense.
Yep, it really has nothing to do with anything else. But, yeah. I wish you and your family the best of luck with this, and know that, prayers and thoughts and hearts are going out to you guys as you guys go through this, and you tell your soldiers, thank you for their service.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. And, folks, you'll hear more about this next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Talking with Heroes program, which happens on Blog Talk Radio. Thank you so much for listening on Spreaker.com, the PTSD Retreat radio talk show. And for more information about PTSD, there are a lot of wonderful locations out there on the internet as well as in person. If you guys are looking for assistance, please contact the PTSDretreat.org. That is Tango Hotel Echo Papa Tango Sierra Delta Romeo Echo Tango Romeo Echo Alpha Tango .org. The PTSDretreat.org. Send us a contact form, and we'll definitely give you a call back. And thank you so much for all you guys are doing to keep surviving with your PTSD. And folks, when you hear news like this, know there's more than just one way of it being presented. So when you read the news, not all the truth is there, and it's usually spun in one direction. Hearing it from the source is always a good idea. And do your research. So, right now, it's just not a good thing in the media, PTSD. It's never a good thing anyway, but the way it's being spun is just not seen nicely. And here's a guy who's been struggling, who gets attacked, and he's now on trial for attempted murder. Please send your hearts to this family and support whatever they decide to do. You guys can find them on Facebook, facebook.com/ what's the name of the page on Facebook, Jeff?
Jeff Seaback.
Jeff Seaback.
Jeff, J-E-F-F, S is in Sam, E is in Edward, E is in Edward, B is in boy, A is in Apple, C is in Charles, K is in Kevin.
Alright, so that's Jeff, Juliet, Echo, Foxtrot, Seaback. So, and that's C, like see someone's back turned to you. So, Seaback. Alright? So, please go on Facebook, like their page, help build the awareness, share the story to make sure that this kid, and I say kid because he's only 22 going on 23 here, that this kid gets assistance in the area that he needs right now legally. For those of you who are dealing with legal issues, you can always go to Stephen Carnes. He's the top military lawyer. It is the only military lawyer that I will support by sharing information, and this is unsolicited. He does not know I'm doing this. Please contact him, because this guy actually knows what he's doing. You can go to his webpage, which is, oh my goodness, I always forget his webpage information. His webpage, if you go, actually just go to Google and you can actually Google his name, Stephen Carnes, Kilo Alpha Romeo November Sierra, and that's Stephen with a V, and so look him up. He'll be the first thing that pops up, and you'll be able to look at his page, read his past cases. You'll see that in his past cases, he's done a lot. So look for yourself. All right, to everyone, thank you so much for listening. This is Nicole Johnson Starr and Jeff Seaback with the PTSD Retreat Radio Talk Show. Have a good evening.